Hello everyone, I'm Pastor Deb of First Lutheran Church here in Paxton, Illinois, and this is our first confirmation class. Our confirmation class is all about acolyting and a refresher course on acolyting. So we welcome you here today. This space that I am standing in is called the sanctuary, and here behind me is what is called the high altar. And in our church, that is where our candles stand. We have 6 candles here on the high altar. Now I am standing in front of what is called the freestanding altar. So in our congregation here at First Lutheran Church in the sanctuary, we have a high altar and a freestanding altar. And so the candles, once again, are placed on the high altar. And so that is where you will be acolyting. You're going to be an acolyte. We'd like to say congratulations to you. This is really a high privilege which is not extended to everyone in the congregation. Only those who are going to be confirmed are selected for this important service. Acolyting is one of the first ways that a young person of the church serves God and his kingdom. In a church service, the pastor preaches and leads the liturgy, the worship. The ushers help in distributing the bulletins and greeting people and assisting people to their seats and taking offering. The council people assist with the distribution of Holy Communion, and the flower committee coordinates and then sets out flowers. The altar guild helps in setting up communion and the paraments, the colors of cloth that are on the altar and the pulpit and the lectern, and making sure that the candles are ready for service. Now the acolytes, they light and extinguish the candles. And on communion Sundays, they also assist in Holy Communion. Now the word acolyte comes from the Greek word apostolos, which means follow, to accompany, or be a disciple. And for instance, in John chapter 8, verse 12, Jesus says this, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." Thus, an acolyte is a follower and support, and is a person who attends to ministry, the ministry of word for the pastor. And to serve as an acolyte requires both spiritual and physical preparation, because you are serving the Lord and leading others in worship of him. You must be prepared, and you'll have an opportunity to spiritually prepare for the service by praying with Pastor Deb in the sacristy, and in addition, you ought to be prepared physically for considering to follow the aspect of your service. Clothing. Now, in Acolyte class, we talked about clothing. How do you identify a police officer? What kind of clothes do they wear? The kids said a badge. Sometimes they have like jackets, insignia that says that they're a police officer. How about a fireman? What does a fireman wear? They wear fireproof jackets, they have fireproof hats, and who knows, they might even have an axe or something to take along with them in their clothing that they wear. They might wear boots and so on. But when you see them, you know, oh, this is a fireman, this is a police officer. So because you are serving as an acolyte and serving God in the congregation and in the divine service, the acolyte's clothing should reflect and respect for God and the people of the congregation. And though the acolyte does wear a white gown, which symbolizes purity of Jesus' holiness and covers us, the clothing and shoes of an acolyte that they wear should be neat, clean, and reflecting of God and respecting God. So consider that when you are choosing your clothes for Sunday. Of course, we always appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you volunteering to help us out. But consider this fact as you're growing up, that the clothes you wear reflect on the job and the job that you're doing. We are here in the Acolyte Room where the Acolyte robes are stored. Now, the Acolyte gown is white, and it symbolizes the purity of Jesus, the holiness that covers us from our sinfulness, and Jesus' holiness and not our own, which makes the Acolyte's participation in the divine service acceptable to God. And because of this symbolism and because the Acolyte gown will be used on acolytes, and the acolytes should take special care of their acolyte gown. The gown should not be allowed to touch the floor or become soiled, and the acolyte should take care when wearing the gown that it hangs straight and that the collar lays flat. There are Velcro in the inside, which makes that smooth for the acolyte. Also notice that there are rope belts, and these rope belts are called cinctures, and they have different colors. There's purple, green, red, and white, and there are also blue ones, and they are worn for the different seasons of the church year, and they should match what the paraments are for that day. And when the acolyte robes are hung back on the hangers, the gowns should hang straight, and the zippers and the Velcro should be secure, and the collar should lay flat. And this is the way the acolyte gowns are ready for the next person, and we thank you for that. Hi everyone, we are in the back room of what is called the sacristy. And here in the sacristy, we have candlelighters. Candlelighters are called the torch. So if Pastor Deb asks you to please go get a torch, you know that I'm talking about going back into the sacristy and getting a candlelighter. Now, there are a couple of things that we would like you to remember when using the torch. And that is, you should have at least 2 inches of wick in your torch. You can find that out by this little lever down here. It extends or it brings the wick back into the torch here. So you can check to see. Now, if for some reason there is very little or no wick in your torch, be sure to let me know, or Pastor Deb can tell one of the altar guild to help in replacing that. And so sometimes when you are using the torch or coming back to get it, you might notice that, see, this one moves freely in and out, but sometimes that wick can get stuck. And that's because it's like a string, and then it's covered in wax, and that wax can melt and get the wick stuck in this portion of the torch. If that happens, be sure to let me know, or one of the altar guild to help you, and we will either take a different torch or we can help you fix the torch that you have. Also remember, when you take the torch, always use 2 hands to hold it and to secure it, and to always hold it so that the wick is facing up and the bell is facing downwards. So the wick is always facing up, the flame is facing up, and the extinguisher is facing downwards, and always using 2 hands when you are using the torch. Hello, boys and girls. This is a candle lighting demonstration. The best way to remember to light the candles is open the Bible, close the Bible. So you begin with a vow. Then you will start from the inside and work to the outside. 1, 2, 3. Remember to have the light of the wick facing up. Bow. Go over to the other side. 4, 5, 6. Remember to hold the light upward. Take a bow. And then exit. For extinguishing the lights, it is close the Bible. So you'll start from the outside, but first you will come to the altar, bow, extinguish 1, 2, 3, bow, 4, 5, and before you extinguish the last candle, light the wick, extinguish it, and then bow. After you have exited the sanctuary and you're in the sacristy, then you may extinguish the candle and the torch. Hi, boys and girls. This is our baptismal area in our congregation, First Lutheran Church. And when there is a baptism, there is this candle, which is called a Paschal Candle. The Paschal Candle sits next to the baptismal font. So there may be, on occasions, times when you are called upon to light the Paschal Candle and also to extinguish that candle at the end of the service. Another important job for an acolyte is to help in serving of communion. The acolyte will have an empty tray like this one, and they will be picking up from the congregation their empty glasses after their drinking of the blood of Christ, the wine, in the worship service, in the Holy Communion. And so to always remember that the pastor will have the bread, the body of Christ, the communion assistant, the council member, will be holding the wine, the blood of Christ, and that you will be holding the empty tray. So it's always the pastor with the bread first, the communion assistant with the wine second, and then you will be the third person with the communion tray to pick up the empty glasses from the wine. We appreciate you doing this job. It may seem like a small job in the church and in worship, but it's very important. And so we thank you for helping us out as you grow in spirit of the Lord. Thank you. Once again, we'd like to thank our confirmation class for their service work in the liturgy as acolytes. They simply cannot do it without the support of their parents helping them to get to worship. It's important that when a student is acolyting, that they arrive 15 minutes before the worship starts. That's 8:45. This way, they have plenty of time to enter the sanctuary, to ask for instructions, to receive any help that they may need, to get their robes if they are going to wear robes that day, also to find the torch and to light it and get ready for the service. We'd also like to say that be sure to check the newsletter. The newsletter is where the Acolyte list is posted for the services and when your child will be acolyting. And so be sure to check that. If for any reason there is maybe the student is sick or unable to come to worship, be sure to call the office and contact Brooke Mullins to help you in finding a replacement for that day. Once again, we'd like to thank you for your service to God. We appreciate it so much. Take care, and God's peace be with you.